It's a new dawn and it's a new day and it's a new season of WoW superheroes. And guess what? We are here to talk about it. It's Steph and Kat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape for every one of us. I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the very first episode of Steph and Kat Talk WoW. Of course, this is Monday, so happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are watching us from. We thank you and we appreciate you for all the love and support over these past couple of weeks. But we are here and we are thriving in spite of everything thrown our way. This is Steph and Kat Talk WoW. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, writer and color commentator for the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not alone. I am here with my forever tag team partner. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust, a person who I am happy to collaborate with on this new endeavor, and a super mom, an amazing writer herself, and just an amazing person. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
I am well. This is crazy in regards to just in a good way, though. Like, this is cool that we're still able to do this. But I am a little tired, but happy to be here. Happy to talk WoW. Happy to get back into it.
Yes, I'm really tired too. This was kind of like a trying Monday for a lot of people. I'm starting to sort of understand that now. But in the midst of it all, we are here and we are here to talk about our favorite stellar, amazing all women's platform, which is called WoW, Women of Wrestling Superheroes, which of course comes on every weekend. Different times, of course, for different people all over the country and all over the world at this point. The growth of WoW superheroes is something that we have had, a close relationship with over the past year. And we have helped them to be a part, of the growth and the renaissance of all of this, amazingness that's happening for this brand. And now the second season has started and it is just arguably like a breath of fresh air. Like, it's almost like you're watching a completely new TV show, but yet and still with some of the same familiar characters and even with some new faces thrown in there as well. Now, on this episode of Steph and Kat Talk WoW, we are going to be talking about season one, episodes 1 and 2 of the show, and I'm just so happy to do that. So, Katrina, how do you feel about this fresh coat of paint on the second season of WoW?
I'm excited. We was kind of like trying to figure out where we were going to go with some of the stuff at the end with the championship matches, and specifically the Tonga Twins winning the titles, with Penelope winning, but then the Beast coming back. And we've been wondering what the Beast was what happened with the Beast since last season. And a good chunk of last season, we was wondering what happened to her, and who else was going to make their way to get that title, what other tag teams are going to kind of stand tall going towards this. And I felt like these two episodes gave that, where it was like, okay, you kind of see what they're, keeping up to what we got from season one, but obviously they're still doing something different. And AJ Lee's not there. Excuse me, AJ Mendez is not there. Excuse me. And so that's, different from season one. But we also got a debut, which was pretty cool. And so I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to what else we're going to get for this season.
Yes, like there's definitely the amazing continuation of so many different stories from the first season of WoW Superheroes, like you mentioned, with the Beast, being out of commission for a lot of the first season, which, was really sad because when you think about the season, how it started with the Beast being the champion, with this new iteration of WoW. And then for her to be taken out so callously and so sadly, it was just like, dang, like how is WoW going to move forward? But of course, we were present for watching the new era of WoW, dub a new champion in the form of my arch nemesis, Penelope Pink. And, she's holding on to that title for dear life. Along with the Fab Four, still trying to maintain whatever dominance they have at this point, even though Miami Sweet Heat aren't the champions anymore. But yeah, like it is just absolutely, enthralling to see the growth of this show and how it's just continued to just blossom in front of our eyes and just become more and more beautiful. Now, of course, if you are watching on either one of our live platforms, that's on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Incat We Trust, feel free to go off in the comments and chime off on any parts of WoW that you have liked, whether it's in the past or in the present, and what you want to see in its future. And of course, if you want to just chime in and say hi, feel free to do that. If you're watching on any one of our live platforms, thank you so much. And of course, when this becomes available later, you can listen to and watch it later. So yeah, the season two premiere of WoW was pretty amazing in the sense that it started with a whole new little intro showing all of the stars that we've come to know and love on WoW. It was really beautiful. And I was just like, okay, this really does feel like a new leaf that we're turning here. And then, of course, we get a promo from the Beast who came out and said how happy she was to be back in the fold of WoW and stuff since her injury, and just how she came back to put all of her blood, sweat, and tears into, becoming the WoW World Champion again. Because of course she did not lose that title. She had to give it up due to injury from being attacked by the mystery assailant, who we have yet to identify at this point. But hopefully in this season we will. She came back and she really is ready to get it cracking up against Penelope Pink or whoever she has to get it cracking against. And she said that she's still the baddest, she's still the biggest, and she is back for what's hers. And this would not be the last time we would see her in this first episode. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the return of the Beast and what she had to say?
Well, I was so excited. We've been wanting her to come back for a minute. I hope we are gonna get, like, it'll be revealed who was the person who did what they did to her, because we don't know yet. We just know that she didn't lose the belt. She had to, get rid of, or rather, give it back because she couldn't go anymore. And then when she was on her way back, somebody was like, let's keep her out a little bit longer. And so I'm hoping that we can get some revelation of who was the person who did it. But I'm excited to see her because, again, she didn't lose. And we knew she was probably one of the most dominant women on the roster. And I'm sure there's other stuff, other women who kind of came in between then that's kind of wanting that spot as well. And so I'm excited, but I don't think the Beast is going to, like, you know, take starting from the bottom in this regard. I don't think she should, honestly. I think it should be just kind of there for her, considering everything that, happened with her losing it, not because she lost it in a match, it was because she had to give it up.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you brought that up, in thinking about what recently happened, coming up this weekend and the announcement that was made regarding the WoW World title. But you do have an excellent point in the fact that the Beast really shouldn't have to, go to the back of the line and work her way back up, because she did, have to give up the title. And ever since then, there's just been a litany of talented girls, who want to challenge for the title and have challenged for it to no avail, due to the fabulous pink and black wall that is the Fab Four. And it's just like you wonder, like, how is the Beast really gonna have like a strategy going up against these girls? But she is bound and determined to get it back. And I was just really glad to see her, because it's almost like when you think of WoW, you definitely think of the Beast. And she is definitely one of the main faces of WoW. So I am so happy to see her in this season. And like I said, in this recap, we will be talking more about her towards the end. Now, something else interesting that did happen on this episode of WoW was the fact that they showed well, not really backstage, but outside of the WoW arena, they showed Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, and the fabulous Lana Star of the Fab Four coming out of an escalator together. Not an escalator, but an escalade together, forgive me. And this kind of led to everyone sort of spinning their wheels to figuring out what it is that these two women have going on. You have two of the most dominant um faction leaders in a car together to talk about what exactly, like what's going to happen with Las Bandidas and Tormenta, and then you have the Fab Four with Lana Star. Like, that was mind-blowing and very shocking to me. I was like, yo, what y'all got going on here? Like, that really did, blow my mind. But Katrina, how did you feel about watching these two come out of the car together and go into the WoW arena? And what do you think they trying to cook up?
I don't know if, like, I feel like with either women, you can't really say if this is some kind of partnership. You kind of have to,
Mm-hmm.
what's the word? Maybe keep your enemies closer, or maybe just be a little bit more cautious. I don't feel like this is a partnership where it's going to be they're going to be peachy, everything's going to be peachy keen, and there's not going to be some self-preservation, or some self-interest involved. I feel like this is for interest of, oh, if there's a bunch of us, well, maybe we can be more dominant. Sophia has Tormenta, and then she has Vivian and Sylvia, and so you have that, and then you have the Fab Four, who got Penelope, and you got Miami Sweet Heat. So it's 3-3 right there. If you want to like really like see if they can kind of bully their way around the roster, they could. But I also feel like with Lana, at the end of the day, Lana's Fab Four is her Fab Four. I don't think she's going to let anybody go past, that. And I don't really feel like Sophia is going to do that either. So it's kind of both like, they might be just a very quick little partnership, maybe just to see if they can maybe bully somebody. But I don't think it's going to be something where you're like, oh, yeah, this is going to last the whole season. I really don't think it is. Hey, Shay.
Hey Shay, love you, girl. But yeah, like, it might not last all season, but just the idea of a super faction between those, women just blows my mind. And I wouldn't put it past them if they actually did something like that, because WoW has they always up the ante when it comes to their, stories. So I really feel like that could be amazing. And you might have a point about it not lasting long, because you got all them egos running around, running roughshod over the WoW roster. I can't imagine it would last that long, but the intrigue of it still blows my mind. Like, I'm really pumped about it. And then, of course, in the first episode of season 2, we did see a segment involving the Fab Four talking about how they all have each other's back. But then Penelope went on to say behind their back that everybody has my back. Like, clearly, she is still looking out for herself, even as she's a part of this sisterhood, as Lana Star called it. And she really is only looking out for herself. And it's really funny, the power dynamic that Penelope Pink has at this point in the Fab Four, considering she is the only one holding gold now that the Miami Sweet Heat tag team are no longer the champions. Like, it's just really funny how they were talking about, oh, well, we're a sisterhood and we all have each other's backs and we're just really dominant. But then Penelope is like, look, these girls have my back. Like, she really isn't into the, whole sisterhood of it all. She really is just looking out for her own best interests. So nothing has truly changed about Penelope Pink since the last time we saw her in season 1. She is still the same OG that we knew her as in season 1, and now she's carrying it into season 2, but just with an even bigger head. Yeah, we are keeping the same energy here, folks. Um we really are. So after that, we finally get to our first match, which was, of course, between the returning Adriana Gambino, and she was going up against Jennifer Flores, of course, Gen Z. And of course, with all of the new decorations and everything else that was going on with WoW, you had Lauren Hunkley, who was doing ring announcing, and she had on this elegant sparkly gold gown, and she just looked amazing. And then on top of that, you had more of the sound, playing their theme songs and everything. You could hear it a lot clearer than you probably could have in earlier seasons. And I was just like, okay, they really are turning up the production value in this. And I was really excited to see Adriana Gambino because she was one of our earlier favorites. Like, she really was, someone that we had our eye on, when she was tag teaming with Gigi Gianni, because they sort of had the same vibe going on with the Italian thing. But then somehow or another, Adriana Gambino actually had to go handle some family business, as they said on commentary in this episode, and we really didn't see her anymore after that. But now here she is going up against somebody as talented as Jennifer Flores. And of course, they did big up AJ Mendez because Adriana Gambino is from New Jersey and AJ is a Jersey girl. So they did give her props and talk about how much they missed her because she has gone on to do bigger things in terms of filming TV shows and filming movies and other things. So we do wish AJ Mendez the very best in her career. But yeah, Adriana Gambino and Jennifer Flores had an amazing match. Something that I loved seeing a lot of in this match was the fact that Adriana Gambino kept fighting, and we saw a lot of her arsenal that it seems like it's gotten sharper since the last time we've seen her wrestle. Like, she's gotten tougher, way more aggressive, and definitely utilizing those long legs of hers in the ring. Like, she kept hitting big boots to Jennifer Flores in her face and kept choking her out with her boot and everything in the ring corner and all that. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. And she was just using a lot of her flexibility in this match in order to get the upper hand onto Jennifer. But Jennifer, being the resilient warrior that she is, she kept fighting out of a lot of things, just kept being, as impressive as we know her to be. And Jennifer just kept trying to fight to the best of her ability. But Adriana Gambino had a point to prove since we hadn't seen her in forever. And ultimately, Adriana won with her special move called the Chef's Kiss. And it was really impressive. So after that point, she won the match and Jennifer Flores had to be carried out of the ring. And Adriana actually cut a promo after the match and said that, and basically told the WoW universe, oh, you thought you could get rid of me because I was handling family business? No, I came back here and I was waiting for this specific moment to prove that I am, that girl. And so Adriana Gambino came back and won in a big way. Big ups to J Flo for still, fighting back as best as she knew how to. But Adriana Gambino is back. And yeah, it was good to see her. So Katrina, how did you feel about the performance of Adriana Gambino up against Jennifer Flores?
I thought it was a nice return back. We were saying for a bit, like, even though I always have my jokes about Jersey, and it's just because I'm a New Yorker and this is what we do. Um, we got to talk. We just got to talk shit about New Jersey because that's what we New Yorkers do. But outside of that, we always, even with her attitude kind of being the way it was, we always said that she was a really good wrestler, but we didn't really see her. Sometimes like she was there and then she wasn't there, and then she was gone for an extended period of time. And so it was really nice that the very first matchup in the new season was seeing her. And I think, if anything, if you kind of forgot who she was or if you kind of forgot what she can do, I love Jen. But this was one of those things that's just like, sorry, Jen, this is more of her kind of reintroducing herself, either to the regular audience or to new viewers, and letting people know, like, okay, I was gone for a little bit, but I'm still that girl kind of vibes. And so I thought it was a nice display of, and it reminded me of, like, this is why we, like, appreciate it. Even though she did little, some stuff that was like, oh no, sis. I appreciated her skill set, and I think she really showcased that, and what she can do. And, I don't know if they're going to put her in the tag team again or they're going to keep her solo. But I'm looking forward to see, hopefully she's here this season and it's not what happened. I know they said it was family business, and, I get it. Shit happens. But hopefully we get to see more of her, going forward in the season. And it's not so much like she's just kind of MIA for a little bit, because I do think she can wrestle. And it's always nice, again, to see the different dynamics. And while WoW's usually pretty well of switching off who we see per week, it's always like, oh, I remember this person. Let's see what they're doing. And so it was kind of nice to see her still being what she is. And I think just reintroducing people who might have forgot what she can do in the ring.
Yeah, I honestly feel that at this rate, she would be better as a solo star, like because it's like we mentioned before in the first season, like her and Gigi Gianni were a tag team, but it's just like with the way that Gigi and Adriana are just separate from each other now, I would almost venture to think that they would just keep them separate from each other because Gigi has her own personality and her own stuff going on, which we will get into later. But then you also have Adriana who's come back, as she said, bigger, stronger, and saucier. Like she came back and she just was just impressive throughout this match, hitting splits and a kick slam to Jennifer Flores. Like she really was out here being like her regular, like not even just her regular, but a stronger heelish version of herself. So I really am interested in seeing her, be her own star at this point. So yeah, like I just want her to be on her own. She doesn't have to be in a tag team. Like she, maybe as a one-off thing, maybe, but at the same time, I just want her to be by herself because for all we know, she could very well, qualify to be, the Wild World Champion at some point. But yeah, like she really was impressive in this match. But I do want better for my girl Jennifer Flores though. Like we've seen her lose quite a lot. And I feel like for someone as prolific as she is inside and outside of WoW, to have been as accomplished as she is and to be as young as she is, she shouldn't just be on the receiving end of losses all of the time. Like I truly want, Jennifer Flores to have a breakout moment, and she has the personality for it. Like, of course, anytime Adriana Gambino was trying to wear her down, she would always, bounce back somehow. So I want her to have her moment in the sun as well. But it was just Adriana Gambino's time. So big ups to Adriana for the win in this match, and hopefully we'll see more of her in the future. So match number 2, which took place on the season 2 premiere of WoW, was between Tormenta, who of course came to the ring with Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, who we did see, up against Fury, a heavy metal sister. But this heavy metal sister came out on her own. There was no Razor and there was no Mesmeriah. It was just Fury. And this was unexpected because of course when they made this announcement, I was just like, oh, okay, so Fury's gonna, strike on her own and fight Tormenta. Like I wasn't expecting that because of course Tormenta is a very accomplished wrestler in her own right. Of course, having a storied career in Mexico that's still of course going on now. And then of course she's here in WoW. But then you have Fury, who outside of being a heavy metal sister, my apologies, I had never really seen wrestle that much. Of course, if you have, feel free to chime in, feel free to educate us a bit because, we like to learn. But seeing Fury step up to Tormenta in the way that she did was really, inspiring to a degree. Like she really can, get down on her own without, the assistance of her heavy metal sisters. Now, of course, Tormenta, and her were just pushing each other back and forth, and then Tormenta was actually mocking Fury and her head banging, because of course that's the rock and roll lifestyle. And then Fury went for a couple of clotheslines, but then Tormenta wound up, countering it and covering her for a 2 count. Fury, just kept trying to fight back, but of course you have Tormenta with those double knees that she likes to hit onto her opponents from the top rope or even sometimes just from the mat because she's just that good. But then you have Fury, who kept fighting out of the various submissions that Tormenta had her in, and she kept fighting back with chops and punches and clubbing blows and everything. And as you can see in this picture, she actually held her own in that submission by her neck. Like Fury was really holding her own in this match, and she actually proceeded to mash her knees into Tormenta's neck and head on the second rope. So it was just like Fury really was trying to fight back, and she hit a German suplex to Tormenta as well. So it was really good, but in the end Tormenta wound up winning by hitting a head scissors takedown to Fury and then planted her with the Meteora from the top rope to win the match. But Fury really did do an excellent job here, in this match, and proving that she can stand on her own 2 feet and headbang all the way to a possible victory up against someone with the resume of Tormenta. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of Fury up against Tormenta?
I was surprised. We definitely saw in the last season that the Heavy Metal Sisters were usually together. And while there were moments when they've done little solo things, 9 times out of 10, they were together. And I don't know if this is the start of her going solo, or she just needs to prove this to herself, or she felt she didn't even need to have in this, that maybe she knew she got this. I not surprised by the end. I did think Tormenta would win it, but I was very impressed with Fury's determination to try to win this match. And if and I say this, and again, this is not even shade to Fury. This is more like Tormenta does have a bit of an extensive resume, and sometimes experience. Sometimes, as much as you don't want it to, sometimes experience is usually the one on top, and the experience can kick everybody's ass at times. In general, this is a life thing. The experience, and so I feel like in this regard, it's just she was outmatched with regard to experience. But I do think she truly tried. She did. And it was actually really nice to see her do that without interference, to do that without having to rely on her two tag mates. Like, she just did this on her own. Even the submission things that she was putting her in, I was like, okay. I don't think I've even seen her do that in previous matches where she focused. It was more focus on them using somebody else on the team to kind of get what they needed to get done. And I do think in this regard, maybe this means she'll be going forward, just kind of not necessarily leaving her group, but just maybe being more confident that she can do matches on her own and not necessarily need to have a lifeline, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but I think in this regard, Tormenta just happened to have the experience, and it showed with that finish. Doing that from the top rope, just all of that and that transition is experience, and that's what I think Fury got beaten by experience. And even though it sucks to lose, I do think, if anything, she should be really proud of how much different I saw her in this match than I seen in season 1.
Absolutely. It's so funny. You mentioned a lifeline and it made me think of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And that's the exact right word for it, a lifeline. Normally on my show, I call it an X factor because I was just talking about Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes on my last episode where I was talking about Carmelo versus Ricochet from last year. And I call it an X factor. But a lifeline is the perfect word for that. That's exactly what the Heavy Metal Sisters were, for each other collectively. Anytime they were in the ring, they would always, sort of utilize them whenever stuff got hard, for them in ring, and sort of just utilize the whole distraction tactics to gain the upper hand on their opponents. So a lifeline is the exact right word. But the thing about it is, when you have someone, like Fury looking to prove herself, without her sisters, she was just out here, fighting and doing the very best that she could up against someone like Tormenta. And it's like Shay and you said, experience, really does make a difference when it comes to that. But I also think that if you want to go up against someone or perform with someone who has more experience than you really do have to come, and be 100% present for that, and understand that you can, step up to them in a really, substantial way. And that's exactly what Fury did. And she should definitely be proud of that. Like, she should really be proud of that. And then the crowd was behind her too. Like, I know people really do like the headbanging and stuff, but honestly, when was the last time you really saw anybody really cheering for any one of the Heavy Metal Sisters in that way?
That's true.
Like you never really saw that before, and the crowd really was behind Fury in that way. So it was really great to see her, utilize a lot of her power and a lot of her strength up against Tormenta. But ultimately, Tormenta did win the match. So big ups to her for that, but definitely big ups to Fury for winning that match. So, match number 3 was, of course, Miami Sweet Heat, Lindsay and Lori Carlson going up against Spring Break 24/7 and Crystal Waters and Sandy Shore. Now, of course, this is the first time we had seen Miami Sweet Heat in action since they had lost the tag team titles in that Falls Count Anywhere match against the Tonga Twins. And they came back with a new outfit, kind of like how earlier we were talking about how everything about Wild this season was just new and just, amazing to the eyes. A lot of these women got new gear, and I kid you not, the Fab Four, as much crap as I give them for being, evil and just doing underhanded things, they be dressing, okay? And the way Miami Sweet Heat looked with their sunglasses and their new gear was just fantastic. And I was like, okay, y'all, I see y'all. Y'all stepping it up. I like it. I like it. I like it. Picasso. So, yeah, these women came out there and they were mocking each other because, of course, Crystal and Sandy Shore, they're still a tag team that's still sort of finding their way in WoW. But they came out with their sunglasses on and they were mimicking Miami Sweet, and they didn't take too kindly to it at all. And they did their own pose back at them. But then the moment that Crystal and Sandy turned their backs, that was when Miami Sweet Heat started attacking them from behind, because these women are angry. They have been absolutely incensed ever since they lost their tag team titles. They are losing their mind. They are angry. They're pissed, and they're taking it out on the entire WoW tag team division. And they just proceeded to beat up on these girls. Like, it was kind of hard watching this match because it felt like Spring Break 24/7 really didn't get that much offense in, but unless it was like one moment in time where they did hit this impressive sort of like I don't even know exactly what to call it, but they hit an impressive maneuver onto, Lindsay. And I was just like, okay, that was really impressive. But throughout the entire match, it was like Miami Sweet Heat really did like beat up on Crystal, isolate Crystal from Sandy. It was just really tough to look at. It was very one-sided a lot of the time. So through it all, like, it was just tough. And Miami Sweet Heat wound up winning the match. And after they won, as you can see, being nefarious and, of course, having the referee get distracted while, they're choking out their opponents, they cut a promo talking about how David, or as they say, Diva McLean, um, never gave them any credit and never complimented them on their work in the tag division, and how he showed favoritism to all the other tag teams instead of them, which of course has no bearings and has no truth to it, because David McLean is the co-owner and the commentator, so he really has no reason to show favoritism to other tag teams. But that's what they were accusing him of. And they also said that he was jealous of them because they make more money than him. And I'm just like, I mean, Jesus Christ, like, y'all are just going for the jugular against David, right? So it was just really tough. They kept, talking about how the people in the audience were just jealous that they're from Miami, which is the real Magic City, which here again, it is not. Because I am from Birmingham, Alabama, 205 lit all day. That is the real Magic City, okay? So, no, okay? Like, they were just really just running off at the mouth, which led them to finally ask for a rematch for the tag titles. And there really wasn't exactly an answer, to their proposal for a rematch for the tag titles. But of course, you have to understand that they have the right to challenge for those titles again, considering they did lose. So if they want a rematch, I can definitely understand. But Katrina, how did you feel about their performance against Spring Break 24/7 and their mission to get their titles back?
I mean, to be fair, I did say that from the very beginning, I thought the Tonga should have won. And so for us, I feel we were very ecstatic with the title change. And I know you have your beef with them, but we've been saying that, they were doing some shenanigans. They got the titles doing shenanigans, being a little shady, being a little underhanded. And so the Tongas finally got it. And I feel like, of course, when you're at the top of something and you kind of had to give knocked back down a bit, of course you're gonna be upset. They have this idea that there's nobody better than the Fab Four. There's nobody better than them. And now it's shown that there is somebody better, and that happened to be the Tonga. So of course they're upset. And it's in a way they kind of have to, while I know they did ask for a rematch, they're technically starting from the bottom. It's kind of what they had made Randy and Coach do, actually, when they had to make them restart from the bottom. And so I feel like, while it sucks and I truly understand wanting a rematch, you also, like, there was shenanigans like 2 times before this matchup where the Tongas got the titles from them. And there were shenanigans in both of those matches that they didn't even allow them right away to get another title shot. They also had to kind of fight through some teams, and Coach and Randy had to fight through some teams, and so it sucks, but it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like it's like you get back what you gave. I mean, you're getting back what you gave. This is what you wanted to do, and now it's like, well, they don't have to answer your title thing. You didn't really make these for anybody else to re-challenge you. There was always some kind of weird stipulation, or it was always some kind of nonsense. Alana always had a plan in place, and now you don't have that, and so it's kind of like a fall from grace a little bit. I think that's why they took it out on par Sandy and Crystal, because they're like these two who are still finding their way and they're not as gelled together as they are. Like, okay, this is light work. They probably felt like we can take it out on them until we get the answer we want. And it's unfortunate for them, but I get it. I understand. It's just like you guys are at the top. You're not there as not much anymore. You probably got to work your way back up there. And nobody wants to start over. I totally understand that. But also, they have to keep in mind this is what you guys put out into the universe. And so it came back. It came back in a very delicious way. And I say this only because the Tongas won the titles like they should have won in the beginning. And so it came back and they have to deal with whatever it is. I don't know if they're going to get the title rematch. I think they should wait. And I say this only because that's what they did. They did not make it easy for anybody to either fight them or re-challenge them or do a rematch. They made it always so difficult. And even to the point where that was the one match that Lana wasn't involved in. It was always like somebody was always involved in the matches. This is the one time that without involvement, you guys lose the title. So I feel like in that regard, it sucks. But I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand, like, listen, guys, y'all wasn't the nicest. Y'all wasn't being nice to everybody who was trying to have title matches. This is just coming back. Like, I just, you gotta kind of have to deal with it this time, kind of roll with the punches. I feel like, I think they'll get back to the top at some point? Probably. Again, they are the only other twins there. And I do think that puts them above some of the other teams, but you guys come on. Like, I feel like you can't be too upset. This was one of those, they effed around and found out. They kept messing with the Tongas, that they had to put that stipulation, and they found out. And unfortunately, finding out means they're no longer champions. And so it's unfortunate, but this is the way the world works when you're doing shenanigans.
You are absolutely right about that in mentioning the idea that they do have to start over. And yes, starting over does suck, but that is a part of life. You do have to start over. And it's just Miami Sweet Heat are just sort of, they've been in the glamour and the glitz and glamour of everything for so long that they just feel obligated to everything. And so, of course, they feel like they can jump in the line, and not have to wait in the back of the line the way that they had to make everybody else wait in the back of the line. Like, it was almost like what Lana Star said about everybody else. They were just saying, all of you are in the endless back of the line and blah, blah, blah. It's almost like that doesn't apply to them when they lose. They don't have to work their way back up. Like, they can just, stroll on through and just get another opportunity. But that's just not how life works, And of course, that's probably why they sort of, like you said, made quick work of Spring Break 24/7, because they had a point to prove that they are, one of the top tag teams in that tag division, because they, want their titles back. But, we just have to wait and see how that turns out. But this, of course, would not be the last we would see of Lindsay and Lori. But Lord Jesus, this beating was terrible. I felt so sorry for Sandy and Crystal, because it's just like they try so hard, to a degree, but it just seems like they're very disjointed to a degree. And it seems like they seem to focus a lot on having fun, and being silly more than they do, operating, at a high level in the ring. And I feel like they do need to go back and, reevaluate some things, because of course you can have fun and you can dress in neon, but at the end of the day, when you get in that ring, you got to lock in and be focused. So hopefully at some point, Spring Break 24/7 can turn it around. But in the end, Miami Sweet Heat wound up winning this match. And like I said, this will not be the last we would see of them, because the last match, which is the main event of the season 2 premiere, was of course Chantilly Chella versus Penelope Pink, my arch nemesis, for the WoW World Championship. This surprised me to a degree when they announced this, because Chantilly did win a pretty high profile match the week before, or at least 2 weeks before. And the idea that she was gonna get an opportunity for a title, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. She deserves that, So this happened and I was just like, okay, this is great. I felt like this match was gonna eat down because you have both of their differing abilities, in ring when it comes to that. But of course, when Penelope Pink comes out, she has to have an army. And of course, she came out with Lana Starr and Vicky Lynn McCoy. And then on top of that, on guest commentary was the Carlson Twins Miami Sweet Heat. So the Fab Four just took over this whole main event, y'all. And on commentary, like the Carlson twins just kept bigging up Penelope Pink and talking about, how the Fab Four is just so superior to everyone. But every time Stephen Dickey, shout out to him, was holding them to the fire and asking them questions about what them not having the titles, but Penelope Pink having the one title, in the Fab Four meant to them, they just kept diverting away from the questions and just kept talking about how amazing Lana is as a manager. Like, it was just really interesting. But back to the in-ring action. As you can see, Penelope Pink is just being her average arrogant self, sitting on and posing on Chantilly Cella's back, excuse me, with her new pink boots or whatnot. But Chantilly did not take any of that disrespect lying down, because she actually hit a meteor from the apron and started wailing on her and punching on her towards the beginning of the match, and just started beating up on her multiple times. And I was just like, yes, Chantilly, do not take her bullying you. Like, destroy her. Just destroy her respectfully, of course. But then, of course, Penelope was just her regular vicious self, because she actually, pulled a electric chair onto Chella and actually slammed her into the ring apron and kept trying to hurt her and break her neck on the ring apron by hitting a leg drop to her neck. It was brutal. And that's just something that we've come to expect from Penelope Pink. When it comes to that title, she can get really brutal in the ring. And she was doing whatever she could to keep it. And ironically, I have to give credit where credit is due. Penelope Pink hit some of her best moves onto Chantilly Chella with the pink thunder bomb, and also, with the pink nightmare and stuff like that. And she wound up retaining her Wild World title, and she didn't cheat. Had your whole family out there, but didn't cheat that one time. I gotta hand it to her. I never thought. I just never thought I had to. I could clap for her for winning something on her own. I just never thought I'd have to do that. But this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Penelope Pink retained the title on her own. Yes. Yes. We got to get a video clip, I guess, for these moments, because it's just so rare. Penelope Pink won, and of course, as you saw in that picture, the Fab Four, went up there and posed with them, to assert their dominance. But to end the episode on a high note, the Beast was watching from the balcony, looking down on the Fab Four, as if to say, I'm coming for what's mine, get ready. So that ended the season 2 premiere of WoW. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the match between Chantilly Chella and Penelope Pink, and Penelope not having to cheat to win, and the Beast watching her from above as they celebrated?
I I feel like that clip of you giving her claps, you're gonna have to save that. She's probably, or she might save it so in case when you do talk something about her, she's gonna be like, "But you did cheer for me." I feel like this is going to be used at some, point for future reference. But I will agree that Penelope definitely was a lot brutal. But this is something she also gave us when we had her match with Princess Aussie. Really like making sure it let it be known there's a reason she's a champion. And while my beef is not like well, I don't have the beef that you necessarily have with her, I did say that she can wrestle, and I think that was proven again at LA Comic Con when we saw. I mean, it was like she won that pretty much fair and square. She did win it fair and square. It was clean, and she showed then. And Barbie was a little bit sad because of Foxy and everything. we did say, well, you know what, this was earned. You did your thing, and it was nothing funny, it was nothing shady. You did what you had to do. And I feel like, again, you already have two of the team members already off the top, and I say that not because they're not part of the group, just because they're no longer champions, and being a champion puts you at the top of the food chain, puts you at the top of the totem pole. And so, I feel like she's not going to want to give up easily, especially when you have, you know, the twins not put up the belt. And then there's still also the chance, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, maybe reading a little too much into it. Maybe she didn't ask for help because she's kind of letting them know, like, if you listen to, sometimes they talked about each other, how her thing was like, this was a mutual agreement of, but also make her look, well, which make her look good. And so, like, I feel like a part of that, which is why I probably shouldn't ask for help, was to let them know, well, guys, I'm still the queen bee. I'm still the queen bee here and while Lana's there, I was even dare say that maybe she thinks she's even more above that because she's champion, because she can wrestle, because she'll get dirty if she needs to, because she'll get a little bit more vicious if she needs to. And, we did question, was Vicky somebody we have to worry about going against her, because she's a solo person. She's not a tag, she's part of the group, but she's a solo wrestler. It is very possible that she could want that at some point. It's very possible, again, with all the people that won the title, but also the Beast is back. And the fact that the Beast was watching, maybe she knew the Beast was watching. Maybe she's letting her know it's not going to be that easy to get it back. And I feel like all of those things, going forward is why she was probably like that. I feel like if she plans on keeping it, she probably needs to kind of stick to that, being a little bit more vicious and maybe not letting her guard down, because you do have the Beast coming. But there's also quite a few of the other ladies who have made it very known in season 1 that they wanted that belt. And people are coming for her. I think that's something that she's kind of having in the back of her mind every time she has to defend that belt.
Yeah, like Penelope really does have to keep her head on a swivel because everybody is coming for her, including the Beast. And when I think about the possibility of the Beast and Penelope Pink having a match, I just really want to believe that, of course, Penelope Pink will give her very best, but ultimately the Beast is just going to run over her. Like, I just really feel like ultimately the Beast is just going to run over her because you have that much power and agility. And then you have Penelope, who has, she has her strengths, of course, with her agility and her ability to be tough inside of the ring and stuff like that, and her strategies. But it's just like, I just don't think she can really hold up herself, against someone as imposing as the Beast. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I do believe that it might be possible that Penelope Pink might have been the one to have injured the Beast. Like, I really feel that that really might have been the deal.
Very
And I
possible.
just feel like she really could have done that out of spite and could have ruined her just that way. So she could be available to win the title at LA Comic Con like she did. But either way, we still got to find out who did it. But of course, like I said, Penelope does have a lot of people gunning for her because when you're the champion, you have a target on your back. And I will say this though, something that I am happy about is the fact that we are seeing Penelope Pink defend her title more and more on different episodes. Because one of the qualms that I had with her, which I did call her out on in one of my promos, if you checked it out, was the fact that Penelope Pink loves to call herself the best damn thing WoW has ever seen. But how can you be the best thing that WoW has ever seen when we don't even see you that much? This time, we are seeing her that much, and I'm glad about that. So, hey, we have a fighting champion finally. So, that ended season 2 episode 1 of WoW Superheroes, which was a great episode and a great way to start this new season. And now, because we don't have any commercials to really show, we got to go into season 2 episode 2, which aired this weekend on WoW. And this episode was pretty fantastic. It opened, of course, with David McLean, the owner and commentator of WoW, introducing the Tonga Twins, the new tag team champions. And of course, we always love to see them and love to support them and whatever it is that they have going on, because like Katrina said earlier, they should have been the WoW tag team champions because of course they won the titles on their own, and there was shenanigans thrown in with the Fab Four when it came to Miami Sweet Heat having the titles and keeping them. So this is well earned on the part of Chaos and Kona. But before David could even ask them how they felt about being the champions, they get interrupted by Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, and Las Bandidas, Vivian Rivera, and Sylvia Sanchez. Now, of course, she takes the microphone from David McClain and says that we are here to negotiate an opportunity, for Las Bandidas being the number one contenders to the tag team titles. And David McClain did not like that one bit because he basically said that the reason why they are even in the title picture is because of the mother truckers getting locked up 2 weeks ago due to their deal of her, paying their bail and getting them out of jail and saying that they would owe her. And because they didn't hold up their end of the bargain because they didn't want to lay down for Las Bandidas, they still got locked up and thrown away in jail, which was really sad and pretty traumatic when you think about it. Because you didn't why y'all gotta arrest them? Like, stop it. So yeah, Sylvia said, look, that was just their fault. But either way, my clients, Las Bandidas, still deserve the opportunity. To which Chaos and Kona responded and said, look, we don't care what it takes. We will fight you. Let's just make this easy. Let's go. And so they did some switcheroos, and the main event was scheduled as the Tonga Twins versus Las Bandidas for the Wild Tag Team titles. And so we will get to that as we go on with the rest of the show. So, the very first match that we had was, of course, Holidead versus Princess Aussie. My girl, Princess Aussie. We have a relationship on social media that I really, value and appreciate. So Princess Aussie has a special place in my heart at this point of my life, and I appreciate her so much. So yeah, this match was fantastic. Holiday came out, and of course, as David was making his way back to the commentary desk, Stephen Dickey was afraid for his life as Holiday made her entrance, and finally he was relieved to see David McClain come back to the table and be his moral support as Holiday came to the ring. And Princess Aussie bounced back out here, with her entrance and stuff. Of course, coming back to fight after, her losing efforts to win the WoW World Championship from Penelope Pink. And, she was just here to sort of bounce back and just be, her regular self, right? And this match was really fantastic. On the parts of both women. But I just want to talk about Holiday for a minute because of course we are Black women and we got to give Black women their flowers while they can smell them. Usually we see Holiday come out with Siren the Voodoo Doll, and they usually, have their dark magic shenanigans going on. But Holiday in ring is a powerhouse. She is an absolute powerhouse. And in this match, she not only showed that she is just a powerhouse, she showed that she is a very methodical wrestler as well. Like, she is a great mat wrestler too, because the two impressive parts about Holiday's performance in this match was her submission work. She actually tried to break Princess Aussie with sort of like a backbreaker, and then she was actually taunting the crowd into doing the Aussie chant, and I was just like, girl, what the heck are you doing? Like, that was just so funny to me. And then she actually hit, like, in this picture, see, look at you, Katrina, that's why I love you. um she actually performed this amazing Spanish surfboard, or half Spanish surfboard as they called it on social media, onto Princess Aussie. And that was something I had never really seen before. And then she started kicking her in her back. That was something that Holiday kept doing. She kept targeting Princess Aussie's back a lot. And that was just really methodical on her part. And I just really enjoyed watching that from Holiday. Like, I want to see more of this from her, outside of, just her being in a tag team with Siren, the voodoo doll. This was amazing stuff from her. But of course, Princess Aussie, being the resilient fighter she is, she fought back with a lot of her high flying moves. She hit like a couple of suicide dives, even though Holiday did catch her on the second one and slam her back into the ring with it. Like, she was just flying all over the place. And this is a beautiful shot of the frog splash that Princess Aussie hit onto Holidead after she hit her patented cutter from down under onto Holidead. She had to hit her with that twice in order, and the frog splash in order to win the match. So Princess Aussie won this match, but Holidead definitely earned more and more of my respect. She already had it because of course she's a black woman in wrestling, so I love her anyway. But watching her wrestle in a singles match like this was just fantastic. And of course, I can't wait to see what more she has in store. But Princess Aussie performed to the best of her ability and fought back and won. And after she won the match, she cut a promo. This is something that we're getting more of this season. We're getting more narrative in the WoW episodes, and I love it. I love it a lot. Princess Aussie got on the microphone and addressed David McLean and said, David, we got something to discuss. And shout out to Troy saying hi. Thank you for your good vibes. Princess Aussie told David, look, I know you saw when Penelope Pink hit me in the head with the title belt and stole my opportunity to fight fairly for the WoW World title. And he told her that he didn't forget about it at all. And she basically, laid down the gauntlet and said that she wants a rematch for the WoW World title. And he was definitely willing to give it to her. But of course, it wasn't going to happen on this episode of WoW because we already have the main event. But Princess Aussie said, look, it doesn't have to be tonight. It could be whenever, wherever, as long as I get my opportunity to take that belt off of her and I can walk out of this arena with the belt around my waist. And I said, see, that's why I love you, Princess Aussie. You and your confidence and the idea that you can give it and bring it in the ring is why I live for her. So, yes, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both ladies and Princess Aussie, gunning for that rematch?
You mentioned Holidead, and I felt like I've said this before, but it just made me think of a show I worked a few months ago where I was doing commentary, and she was having a match. And I got so distracted by how good she was in the ring and how well she was antagonizing the audience that I had to catch myself and be like, oh, let me get my commentary back in. I had to bring myself back into commentary because I was like distracting in a good way. Like, oh, she's just so great to watch wrestle. She's so great to watch wrestle. And so to kind of see that in person, exactly that, you know, face painted, being aggressive, doing what she does best. It's just really nice that if you don't know who Holidead is and you're watching WoW, you kind of get what she is. And that is just like, I love watching her wrestle. But let's bring it also because Princess Aussie has definitely have been nothing but supportive. As you mentioned on social media, she really had. I believe she shared this as well. So thank you, Princess Aussie, for that. But I feel like with the matchup with Penelope and Princess Aussie in the last season, she's been showing consistently what she can do, what moves she has in her arsenal, that she can kind of change it up. She needs to change it up. If she needs to be more ground and pound, if she needs to be a little bit more high flying, she'll do it. And I think with somebody like Holidead, you kind of have to have that kind of stuff in your arsenal because of how Holidead is as a wrestler. And, while she did not win the match ultimately, and we really wanted her to, and it was just unfortunate how it played out, I don't find it like it won't be a problem for her to get back up there, even if she gets the rematch right away, or if they make her wait a little bit. I feel like the only reason why Penelope kept it in that match was because there was some shenanigans happening. Like there was a little bit of distraction happening, and Penelope used it to her advantage. How would this play out if Penelope used no distractions? How would this play out if Penelope has nobody out there? Would it be a repeat of what happened with the Miami Sweet Heat with the Twins losing the titles because there's nobody there to distract? And I feel like, again, my Penelope has to worry about the Beast as well. Princess Aussie's not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere. And I feel like, again, Penelope, unfortunately, she has a red sign on her back. They're coming for her. And I think Princess Aussie was letting us, again, if you fail to see that, okay, she didn't necessarily get the target, get the belt like she wanted to in that first season in that matchup, She doesn't mean she won't get it. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen in the future. I think that's what she was doing it. And so with Holidead, I think it was smart. I think using that type of stuff to get her down was very smart on her part. But I don't think this is the end of her in the rematch. And then it'd be some. I feel like eventually in this season, that whole title picture is going to be a mess, and not like a bad mess, like a mess. Like there's so many pieces, and there's so many people who want this title, and there can only be one champion. And I feel like this is like we're seeing it already. Look what we was getting in the first episode. Chantilly lost. She fought. And then, you see like Fury, who's starting to go off on her own. And there was a little implication in the first season that she might have wanted to go solo and see what she can do by herself. So there's people coming. I feel like, though, this was a really fantastic match. It was a really good way to open up episode 2. And I'm just looking forward to see what both ladies do because I'm a fan of both.
Me too. Like they just did so well. It was just so great. And like you said, the title picture really is going to have a lot going on for it. And this is just a start. Like if you think about everything that happened last year with the world title picture, and then you think about how we're literally living in the same timeline, just in a different year. And everything that could very well happen within a year's time when it comes to WoW and that title, there is so much that could happen because Penelope still has the title and she has a chokehold on it. You have Princess Aussie, who's just fighting tooth and nail for her opportunity to be on top, like she knows she can. You have like the Beast, who just wants to do whatever it takes to get the title back that she never lost. Like there are just so many women who could gun for the opportunity of getting it back. And I am just so excited and so thrilled about it that I just can't breathe. Like it's crazy. But yeah, like I just cannot wait to see, how this is gonna work. And then of course we did get an announcement that this weekend we will be having a world title match. I guess we can talk about it right now. Where Princess Aussie will be facing off against Penelope Pink and Tormenta in a triple threat match. Now, this did surprise me because I kind of wanted it to just be Princess Aussie and Penelope Pink as the rematch, like with the both of them. But Tormenta being in there, will give it a good mix of, abilities and stuff like that. So I'm definitely willing, to watch that because if you remember, these are two opponents who gave Princess Aussie two of her best matches so far in WoW. So I can only imagine what all that is going to be like in terms of a triple threat, but I am definitely excited about that. So yeah, Princess Aussie wound up winning the match, but Holidead definitely won more of my respect in this match. So big ups to both women in it. So after that match, we got an introduction to a new WoW superhero, or you could maybe say a super villain. And her name was Katarina Jinx, another cat in our lives, in my life. So she popped up on the scene and she was standing on the top of one of the buildings in Los Angeles, and she was talking about what her motivations are in terms of sort of outdoing all of the other WoW women. She was saying that a lot of the women, or she kept calling them mice, like to run around looking for every opportunity, but I like to sit and just wait for the right opportunity. And I thought this was really interesting and also really scary, how she was just sort of just walking and sulking back and forth just like a cat. And she goes into the crowd, and then she into the crowd of people, and she's walking about, and you see her in all her hair and her makeup and giving just va va voom Catwoman, right? And so she basically says like she is going to be the one to watch all of these people, all of these mice, inside of her cage, and she is going to trap them and devour them. And then she holds her arm up, and you have cat eyes on her arm, and I'm just like, yo, this is some sick stuff. I like it. So Katarina Jinx is like here, and she's sulking and she's being slow and methodical, and I'm just like, yo, this is cool. I like this. I like this new superhero / supervillain. Katrina, another cat. How do you feel about Katarina Jinx?
I mean, I don't know because sometimes cats get bad names. You get a bad name, and I don't. I mean, you said super villain. I'm like, I'm getting the villain vibes as well, especially referring to everybody else as mice isn't really nice to say. Um, but I do like, again, if you think of like Catwoman and you think in regards to just being a little bit more and like how movement is and everything else, it works. I can't say, I don't support all cats. And I say this with the utmost respect to people. I cannot respect all cats, even being a cat myself. Um, so we'll see how, going forward, how I'll feel about her going forward as far as if she's going to give us cats a good name. I don't know, no, because she's already kind of starting on a negative foot. But it was nice to see, like I said, new debut, which is always cool.
Yeah, like it was just really just it was one of the coolest debuts I think they've done, so far when it comes to, newer people that we've seen. Like she really had herself fully defined in this promo and everything. So I was just like, I really like this. Like this is really cool and she's really slinky and I just love it. So okay, Katarina Jinx, we got you and we see you, right? And so as this match, prepares to happen, we see Princess Aussie backstage because here again, we're getting more narrative. Princess Aussie is backstage and she's running down the steps and she runs into her bestie, Kandi Krush, who was about to face off against the debuting Katarina Jinx. And so, Princess Aussie, tells her that she's grateful for her support, that she's had for her for the last, couple months. And Kandi said, there isn't anybody else that she would want to do it for. And she also said that if there's going to be anybody who's going to take the title off of Penelope Pink besides herself, that she would like it to be Princess Aussie. And then Kandi went on to ask for Princess Aussie's advice. Kandi Krush went on to ask for Princess Aussie's advice to, you know, watch and sort of scout for Katarina to see how much better she would need to get in ring to face off against someone like her. Considering Katarina, was making her debut and she had never scouted her before. And Princess Aussie, gave her a really weird answer and said, I'll try my best to watch it, but I've been really focused and, you know, really locked in on myself now in this Wild World title, but I'll definitely try. And so Kandi was like, okay. And so, after that, they sort of dapped each other up and walked away. But then Kandi was giving her a look at the end that kind of gave like, you're really not there for me at this point. And I felt very sad about that because it felt like, they were just getting along and now there might be seeds planted, even though something did happen on social media because Princess Aussie is active on there. When I live tweeted about it, she actually said, that there isn't anything wrong with them and that their friendship is fine. But in the history of wrestling, friendships where people have said that they're fine usually turn out to not be fine. So, I mean, I'll never distrust Princess Aussie, but at the same time, the way that Kandi was looking at her, then it did not give easy going. So, Kat, how do you feel about this development in their friendship?
I don't know because like I feel like it's sad a little bit for Candy Crush. I feel like every time she gets a friend or a person who's supposed to be a friend, it don't always necessarily work out the way she wants it to work out, or it seems like it's a very short-lived friendship. I get Princess Aussie kind of being more focused on like trying to get where she wants to go in life, but then it's also like, but she is your friend and your match already happened. So you could at least watch and make sure, and see, maybe give her some tips, maybe just be their support system. That's what a good friend does. And so that's unfortunate. And I don't know, again, I like Princess Aussie, but I always feel like Candy Crush was the oh, can you hear me now? Good. Yeah. I always feel like Candy Crush gets the short end of the stick when it comes to the friendship she's built in WoW, unfortunately. And that's like, oh, that sucks. Like every time she feels like she gives a little bit and then she's like, oh, a friend. And then it's like, well, maybe we're all right. Like, we're not, I don't know, we're acquaintances. I feel like she kind of knocked it back down a bit. So I don't know. But maybe she was feeling a little bit upset because of, wanting the title match and wanting the power stop out there. But I do think Princess Aussie definitely could have at least watched the match. If anything, she didn't need to be like doing a whole bunch of work, but at least just be there, support system. Sometimes that's all we need is a little bit of support.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Sometimes all you do need is a little bit of support, but also at the same time, I feel like sometimes as a friendship, you have to understand like how to play, you know, the distance game, because as much as you love your best friend, sometimes you do have to give your friend a little bit of space for them to get themselves together, and it might not have anything to do with you and everything to do with yourself. And honestly, when it comes to Princess Aussie, yeah, they have been there for each other, and it's great to see that type of friendship in comparison to where, Candy Crush had friendships that have fallen through the cracks, other times as well. But it's just like, I understand her having trust issues when it comes to that. But you also have to understand that Princess Aussie would never, hurt somebody. Like, she doesn't seem like a pretty, malicious person in that way to where she would be like, oh, well, I'm just focused on myself right now and just screw you. Like, that's not what Princess Aussie was doing. So hopefully they won't have any more miscommunications with each other when it comes to that. And hopefully their friendship is okay. Um, and they can just figure stuff out and just continue to support each other in their, careers and stuff. So, speaking of Candy Crush, we have her match against Katarina Jinx, who of course made her debut. And this match was really impressive because we got to see, how Katarina Jinx moves in the ring. And the funniest part about this match was the fact that Lauren Hunkley was making her announcements and stuff, looking as gorgeous as she always does. And she was making her announcements and she backed away into the ring corner away from Katarina Jinx. And I was just like, you know what? That's real. That is very real, because I swear if I saw somebody dressed up like in sort of like a upgraded version of Catwoman with a whip, I'd probably back away too. So I thought that was really funny on the part of Lauren. Like, Lauren Hunkley never changed. So yeah, she announced her and then she announced Candy Crush. And something that I have definitely noticed this season with Candy Crush is the fact that her look is very upgraded as well. Like, her hair isn't just all braids anymore. Like, it's literally like braids sort of like in the front, but then there's like a loose fitted like ponytail in the back. And I'm just like, yo, that's beautiful. Not saying that she wasn't beautiful already, but that hairstyle really brings out like something else about her that just gives her more confidence and more of an ooze. And I was just like, ma'am, you're gorgeous. Look at you. And then her shorts really aren't like, they're not fully like tasseled like they used to be. And it's just really cute. You have all the pink and white going on with it. But either way, it's still been upgraded and you just love to see, the upgraded fashion. And also, because of circumstances, I wasn't able to tell Candy Crush happy Wrestleversary. I was able to tell her that on social media, but not verbally. So I just want to say that she did post a few weeks ago saying that um it was the first anniversary. It was her anniversary of debuting in wrestling, period, when it came to WoW. And I think that's such a great thing because, as you can see in this match, her confidence has definitely grown by leaps and bounds over the last year. So, publicly, I just wanted to say happy Wrestleversary to her because she's just doing such a phenomenal job combining her boxing knowledge along with the wrestling stuff. Like, she's really great and she's locked in. So, this was good. So yeah, Katarina also impressed me in this match because she was mad flexible and she was not only flexible, but she was pretty slow moving and sort of like I said earlier, methodical with a lot of her ring, awareness and everything that she was doing in the ring as well. Kind of like how Candy Crush moves kind of fast and she likes to stick and move with the punches and stuff like that. Katarina was just slowing down and just trying to like break her down bit by bit and just moving like a slow like moving cat. Like, it was just crazy to sort of watch someone move that slow in the ring but you still be just as effective. It was really amazing stuff here. I just loved it. But then Candy Crush was still being aggressive by wearing her down with a triangle chokehold and, just grabbing her around her neck, trying to choke her out and just laying it on the line here in this match. And surprisingly, Candy wound up winning. She won the match. And this was really rare because you hardly if ever see debuting stars, lose their, first match. But either way, this is what happened, and Candy Crush wound up winning. And yes, Katarina was impressive with her Boston Crab that she did try to do on Candy Crush, and a lot of her maneuvers, but Candy was not having it. And for somebody who wasn't sure about fighting against her because of never having seen her wrestle before, she did a phenomenal job. Candy Crush did that. So, Katrina, how do you feel about this match and the debut of Katarina? And watching Candy Crush's evolution from a year ago.
I think it was a good debut. Again, I really wasn't sure, what she was going to do in regards to her speech first, but I think they gave a good showing for a debut. And I was a little surprised about her debuting but not winning, which was a little bit, maybe that means with Candy, they're moving her on upswing. Like she'll be in a better place going forward because we've had some questionable like with her like winning and then she's losing and we didn't really know what was going on, and so I was surprised. But I also think if anything, while Candy did seem a little bit disappointed about Princess Aussie response, she still handled her business, and that speaks to even though she wasn't as she didn't get to scout Katarina like she could have, she still won. And maybe that's speaking to her as in like maybe I'm not gonna let people do what they did to her, like they did to me in like the first season, and that's good on her because they did some stuff. There's some stuff going on with some of the stuff with Candy Crush, with the boxing gloves and the messing with her, and maybe she's just going in with a new space that even if you are new or even if you have something I'm not necessarily used to, I'm going to do my best. And in this regard, her best wind up helping her win. And so I do think it's good to see her growth in the ring, but I'm also interested to see what Katarina does because I was like, okay, I still don't know how I feel just yet, but okay, I'm watching kind of vibes. And so good match overall.
Yeah, it was a good match overall. And while you were talking about, the evolution of Candy Crush and what she had been through, last year with the emotional manipulations that Holidead and Siren the Voodoo Doll and Angelica Dante, of course, were, playing with her. It's like she definitely has shown and proven and locked in that she can, you know, really prove herself in ring and get the job done. And like I said, she definitely has grown in her confidence. But in thinking about her interaction with Princess Aussie and how she said that if there was anybody else that she would want to win the title other than herself, it would be Princess Aussie. Do you think that she would be willing to possibly like fight Princess Aussie at some point? You know, in a friendly competition sort of thing to sort of prove, which one of us actually has the juice at this point? Like, do you see that happening?
I could. They when they was working out, they kind of implied that they were both kind of competitive, and I feel like sometimes, while it's not always a good thing, there are a lot of times friends are competitive with each other. You think of the friend you playing the video game with, or the friend you playing the board game with, or the friend if people know what spades is, talk shit, play some spades, those kind of vibes. I feel like we all have a friend you might get a little bit competitive with, and so I can see it happening. I just don't know will it bode well for their friendship. And I don't say you want it to do well. Like, okay, we had this match. It's nothing personal. It's just doing what we need to do. I'm hoping that if it gets to that point, that the friendship will last because I'm not sure. I feel like Princess Aussie's reaction doesn't give me the vibes that it might necessarily be a lasting friendship after this. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get it because both of them kind of wanted the same thing. Princess Aussie might be in a little bit more of a rush or more adamant because she literally was just the one to take on Penelope not too long ago. But I can see it happening because again, and as story is old as time, there's only one championship. There's only one person that can be a champion, and if you're not going for the tag titles, that leaves that last WoW Women's Championship, WoW World Champion, and only one of them can make it there. I feel like, it be nice just to see it as like they're doing their thing without it being like weird. Of course, I would love that, but I can't say for a fact. Unfortunately, this is always the test of friendship. How well can you do something when you both want the same thing?
Absolutely. That's a very profound way of putting that. Like, how well can you put, wow, that just hit me in my brain.
I mean, it's something I feel like, I don't, I mean, not that I've had that, but I've seen it with people I knew, just, You kind of want the same thing if your friends are strong enough to test that, especially when it's just literally one person. You can't have two people as the one champion. And so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see, but Kandi Krush got the win up against Katarina Jinx, and we are still intrigued to see what else Katarina has to give us in this season of WoW. But I am excited for it because I love new faces. So big ups to her. Now, of course, backstage, we got more of, backstage shenanigans with Coach Campanelli and Ariel Sky, who have, of course, mysteriously reappeared after disappearing on Randy Rah a couple weeks ago when she had to face Gigi Gianni. But weirdly enough, Randy Rah was not there. So they were backstage, jaw jacking at Gigi Gianni and BK Rhythm, who was throwing shade at them and calling them losers and stuff like that. And basically accusing them of abandoning Randy and somehow her getting locked in a trunk. And Ariel was like, "Oh my God, please don't let her be locked in a trunk." And Coach was just like, "No, that's not what's going on." And Coach blew her whistle at Gigi and BK when they were getting ready to walk out. And she said, "Hey, the only losers I see are you two." In fact, actually, that's not even how she said it. She basically said, I know the meaning of the well, she said, "I don't know the meaning of the word loser unless I look up your name." And I was like, damn. Don't mean to curse, but damn, that was a burn. Okay. Like, literally, you look up the word loser and there's Gigi and BK's pictures. Like, what? Crazy. So this led to BK challenging Coach Campanelli to a singles match, and then she blew her whistle at them again. And this was just really funny. But another part that I really loved about this segment was just looking at the WoW furniture. Their pillows was just so cute. And it's just like, because I'm a merch girl, I would give anything to have a WoW pillow. Like, just give me all the WoW pillows and I'll just stuff them everywhere and just, decorate my room with them. Like, I don't care. But those are just really cute. And I just love how they're basically just decorating it and making WoW, its own brand and just showing all of the colors and all of the above. Like, it was just really pretty. But yeah, this was really cool, and it led into, of course, the third match, which was, of course, BK Rhythm versus Coach Campanelli. And Gigi Gianni came out with BK Rhythm, and Coach Campanelli came out with Ariel Sky. And of course, this is the part of the show where we have to give credence to BK's bars. Now, if you may or may not remember, Katrina does not like BK Rhythm's raps at all. And I'm more than sure she's going to roast him once I get through reading it. But either way, we have to make room for the raps because we just have to make room for them, okay? BK Rhythm is basically the John Cena, or depending on who you ask, the Vanilla Ice of WoW superheroes. And we just have to talk about, what she said. And she said, "It looks like Team Spirit needs a new talent scout because no doubt this about to be a blowout. Timeout." Well, she said, "Timeout. I'ma win this with super speed and send you back to coaching Little League." And I was like, dang, that was pretty harsh. But of course, Katrina, how did you feel about those bars? Be honest.
I just let me just remove this for a second. I just I totally get, like, you're a battle rapper and you have to do stuff, but it's unnecessary. Like, you come right in already started. Like, can you just, I feel like if you're gonna do all of this, that means every time you're sitting here taking the time to write some bars, to write some reps, you should win every time. You're doing this extra step to have a rap ready for your new match, then you better win every match. Otherwise, why are we doing this? What do we get out of this? And so I was just like, I mean, I guess, I'm trying, I'm gonna start this new season on a nicer foot. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start nicer, but I was just like, I mean, I guess, because here we are again. I was hoping that she would have gave me a week, before I saw some new raps with, like, her shenanigans. But of course, that's not what she gave me. And I'm just like, now, ma'am, like, are we gonna ignore what happened the last time we saw you? You guys was engaging in some stuff that those bars are not really fitting. That's all I'm saying. But here we are. I appreciate her skills. I just really just don't like the rapping. It's just like why? Why does every situation require you to have some bars? It's like you're just ready. Why? Why? And I get staying ready. I'm a New Yorker. You gotta stay ready. You do, but not like, rapping is not where I'm gonna have to draw the line there. I feel like rapping is not the part you wanna stay ready for. But here we are. But otherwise, more a new season of more raps that I'm gonna have to roll my eyes at. Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, she didn't give you a week, Katrina, and I just had to let you get it off, man, because you just have your feelings about her raps, and it's just like, yo, to me, I mean, at least she, rhymed all the words together and stuff, and it really did, hit home because Coach Campanelli, actually went into the match and motioned, for the traditional sort of hand lockup thing, but then she faked her out and then tripped her up, in order to get into her head. And she was just like, you ain't finna do me like this. BK Rhythm then proceeded to grab, Coach Campanelli's wrists and stuff, but then Coach reversed it, for a submission. And it was just a back and forth between these two that I believe we've seen these two wrestle before in the past, but this match was pretty good for the most part. Coach ran across BK's. There was a really impressive part where Coach Campanelli was giving Natty Neidhart and ran across BK's back and then hit a drop kick to her afterward. And I was just like, that is Natalia if I've ever seen it. And I liked it a lot. And then Coach also got knocked down by BK a couple of times as she tried to get back into the ring after getting attacked by Gigi Gianni, who was proving to be the X factor in this match, like I always say, or the lifeline, as Katrina likes to say. But the thing that kept irritating me was the fact that Coach had Ariel Sky out there, but Ariel was not getting involved on Coach's behalf the way that Gigi was for BK. And that was pissing me off because I'm just like, ma'am, if you are by her side and if you're a part of Team Spirit and you're coming out here to even the odds, then how come you're not evening the odds and getting active? Like, how come you're not getting active with Gigi? Because she keeps messing with your coach and you're just sort of standing there watching. Like, are you just waiting for coach to motion for you to do something? No, like sometimes you have to get active on your own. And it really kept irritating me how she just was not there for coach multiple times. I was just like, girl, pay attention. And of course, throughout the match, BK actually mashed Coach's head with her thigh into the ropes, and Gigi was choking her out. Here again, getting involved. Coach Campanelli hit an elbow, but then BK actually gave an elbow and an Irish whip into a sidewalk slam for a 2 count, which was a really impressive combination of moves there. But Coach wound up getting the upper hand by hitting a step up enziguri onto BK Rhythm. And even though Gigi tried again to get involved, Coach Campanelli wound up reversing BK's move into the buzzer beater in order to win the match. So Coach wound up winning the match, but she didn't even get to celebrate that long because here again, Gigi and BK jumped her from behind, and Ariel Sky just so happened to get a phone call. And because it's been a minute, she got a phone call and was like, yo, what's going on? And she was mad distracted by the idea that somebody had called her phone. And then Coach took the phone from her when she rolled out of the ring to get refuge from BK and Gigi and said, why are you on your phone? And then that was the end of it. And I'm just like, Randy Rara would not have done this. I really feel like Randy would have been focused and would have actually tried to help her. But you're with Ariel now, and it's just like, Ariel, you're not getting active enough, and I'm gonna need for you to actually like do something about it. But either way, Coach Campanelli wound up winning the match. But I do wonder who did call Ariel though. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and how did you feel about Gigi getting involved and Ariel not getting involved, and just her being overall distracted?
I don't know if this is a way, like, if we remember what was said a few weeks ago in season 1 when he was talking about Coach knowing everything and kind of, why it seemed like Randy might have been like, I don't know. Ariel at the time seemed like she was taking in everything that coach was saying. She's a little bit younger, in regards to, she's a little bit newer to the squad, and maybe she just needs a little bit more what the vibes are for a group. I do think that Gigi being this involved again now makes BK Rhythm's raps like, it's like you're saying all this and yet you have somebody doing all this for you. Like, are you doing this yourself or not? Which defeats the purpose for me for her making up, the raps and stuff. Um, but even with that being said, considering Gigi was kind of interfering, the fact that Coach Campanelli again speaks to her in regards to how she's able to usually maneuver around things that's not necessarily the best type of situation and still kind of come out on top. But I do think there might need to be some discussion as far as why you keep getting one or the other not there. Like, what is going on? Why is it like one's always missing? Or what is it that the call will come in at that time? Why is your phone even with you at the ring is insane to me. Personally, I don't know who takes their phone to the ring if you're trying to like be there, because it's like your phone can easily be damaged. It just could be so many things that happen with a phone at the ring. So I'm a little surprised about that. But I guess we'll see going forward is what is the actual reason for it to be like not just distracted, but why it seems like every time something is going down, the team isn't where they're supposed to be. And I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's being set up that way to make Coach feel like she's alone. I don't know. But I feel like hopefully we'll get some kind of answer to why that is.
Yeah, I hope we do get an answer to that as well. But honestly, it was just really disheartening to sort of see this happen to Coach, because Coach really did, for better and for worse, invest in both of those girls, but mostly Randy Rara. When it comes to, being a coach and everything, and they actually got like a level of glory together as tag team champions, for a short period of time. So you hate to see them not being on the same page, but it's easy to assume that they wouldn't, because of course Coach Campanelli really does act like she, is the brains behind everything and never really gives Ariel and Randy that much credit. And now it seems like, to a degree, those chickens are coming home to roost, and it's just like really sad to see that. And it's just really crazy, and I just really hope that Ariel Sky, really would, put the spirit back in Team Spirit again and be there for Coach. But also Coach has to listen, to her students. And I've said this before, like, she really does have to open her mind and listen to her students, and not just think that she is just the end all be all just because she's the coach. But with that being said, a coach is nothing without her players, and Ariel was not being a player. She was not truly being a player. And hopefully we'll get to see more of what, is going to come of the whole Team Spirit collective at this point. But either way, Coach Campanelli wound up winning. But I'm more than sure that she has to, have sit down and have a come to Jesus moment with Ariel Sky. And hopefully we'll see Randy Rara again. But then if not, we just got to figure that out. But yeah, and of course, like I said earlier, they did announce that this coming weekend will be a major WOW World Championship match between Penelope Pink defending her title against Princess Aussie and Tormenta. So be on the lookout for that, and I'm pretty sure they will announce more matches in the next few days on their social media. So yeah, I'm just going to take this time to tell you guys to follow WOW everywhere. Please follow them everywhere and watch them wherever they are listed in your area. Of course, here in Alabama, they come on at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Saturdays on my network TV, which is 68 for some people. But yeah, like, please check them out there if you live in Alabama area. And of course, go on wowe.com and check out, whatever other listings that they have for your area throughout the entire country. They are definitely worth a view on your weekend, whether it be on Saturday or Sunday, late at night or earlier in the day. Please check out this really amazing all female wrestling show. They're growing, they're beautiful, they're strong, they're fantastic. And of course, they also still wrestle outside of WOW too. A good number of them do. So please, continue to support them, follow them on, all of their platforms on Twitter and Instagram. And you can watch the episodes, as they become available the Monday after the weekend that they air on YouTube, as well as Pluto TV, where you can find original content that they've made, and just continue to just support them wherever and however you can. So with that being said, we are here at the main event, which is for the WoW Tag Team Championships between the Tonga Twins and the Tonga Twins and Las Bandidas of Sylvia Sanchez and Vivian Rivera, of course, coming out with Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney. And here again, back on commentary, you had Miami Sweet Heat. Now, Miami Sweet Heat was mad, and I mean absolutely mad, annoying on commentary this week. They got on my last nerves, and I'm gonna tell you why. They actually were like shaming Las Bandidas and saying that they looked better with their masks on, number one. And number two, they kept talking about the Tonga twins and how the belts don't even fit around their waist. And this was giving body shaming to me, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it because, first of all, Miami Sweet Heat, yeah, you might be living your fabulous Hollywood lifestyle. And yes, that means that you have access to all of the best foods and everything while you work out and do stuff like that. But the thing about the Tonga twins is that they are beautiful, you know, even in the size that they are absolutely gorgeous. Like, that doesn't mean anything or any less of them. Like, all women do not have the same bodies. And the Tonga twins, Chaos and Kona, are absolutely gorgeous. And I felt like that was just mad unnecessary for y'all to come for them like that. That was really gross. And it was really gross for y'all to be coming for Las Banditas like that, because Vivian and Sylvia are gorgeous too. We ain't gonna do that, okay? Y'all are not the only gorgeous ones just because y'all are part of the Fab Four. All of the WoW women are gorgeous. So stop it. And I just had to do that little rant. I just had to get that out. But either way, this match was pretty fantastic for the most part. Kona and Vivian Rivera started off the match. Kona elbowed Vivian after reversing a Hurricanrana attempt. Sylvia broke up the count by jumping on and distracting Kona, and sort of, in a sense, isolating Kona a little bit, with her and Vivian Rivera sort of tagging each other in back and forth. As you can see, Vivian getting tough with her with those kicks in the corner. Vivian actually used a spinning wheel kick, and then Sylvia just kept illegally jumping into the ring. And then Sylvia tried to dip and dodge with the quickness, but then Kona actually grabbed her and tossed her into the ring corner and then clotheslined her and stuff. Like, this was just a very high powered match for the little bit of time that they had left in the hour. They still made, a good use of it. And then Las Bandidas, of course, continued with the upper hand by slamming the twins and grabbing their hair, and kept stomping on her face. But Kona finally got the hot tag after Chaos dealt with a lot of punishment, and she started giving clotheslines and a choke slam to Vivian Rivera, and then she also elbowed Sylvia Sanchez in the face in the corner, and she gave Sylvia a belly to belly suplex after catching her mid-air, which was absolutely impressive. And then the match ended with Vivian Rivera eating a Tonga twist for the 3 count, and the Tonga twins are still the Wild Tag Team Champions. But of course, they were not allowed to celebrate either, because Miami Sweet Heat left commentary, beat up on them and ganged up on them and started punching them and beating them down behind their back. And then you had Las Banditas ganging up on them as well, jumping on them, making it far worse than it even had to be. But surprisingly, the mother truckers, Holly Swag and Big Rig Betty, slid into the ring. Like, it was so impressive. The way Holly Swag slid up under the ring in order to get in there and join the fight along with the Tonga Twins was just like mad impressive. I was like, yo, she slid in there like a Power Ranger. I liked it. Shoo, it was cool. And they started beating up and evening the odds up against Las Banditas and Miami Sweet Heat. And it was just mayhem all around. And that is how season 2, episode 2 of WoW Superheroes ended. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match? And how did you feel about, all of the mayhem that took place afterward?
I think it was a good main event. This is their first title defense. The Tongas, after a very hard fought win to get those titles. I was not surprised on Miami Sweet Heat. The fact that they were there, I don't even know why they were there. Like, you didn't need to be on commentary. You didn't need to say half the stuff that they were saying. It wasn't necessary. And it was just like, even with that negativity on commentary, but then you had, again, when you mentioned before, as far as, Sophia and Lana kind of looking like they might have teamed up, kind of fitting that the Talkers' very first title defense wind up being between Sylvia and Vivian right after having to take the belts from Miami Sweet Heat. And so it could be very possible that, again, they're kind of working together, though I don't know how long that'll last because, again, self-preservation here. Everybody's going to probably be out for self. Everybody's going to be out for their own team. And so I don't think it'll last long, but I wasn't surprised by the ending being where they all kind of gone in there. I was surprised about the mother truckers only because they were in jail. And so I'm like, so you guys got like bail or something? Like, how do you guys already get out? And power to slide it in there and helping out. And I respect that. But I was kind of like, weren't you guys just in jail? Like, who bailed you guys out? How are you guys already out of the system, I guess? But otherwise, I thought it was a fantastic match. I thought at points Vivian and Sylvia, and I think that this is showing how they have grown as a team together from when they first started to how they are now. Because the fact that they were isolating, as they were for a good chunk of that match speaks so that they're clearly working better together. And they're clearly reading each other better. That they know, just let's kind of isolate them. Like eventually it didn't work out, and the Tongas wound up keeping the belts. But the fact that they had the insight to do it, it's like, the twins are stronger together. You get rid of one, it might be a little bit easier to take them the next one. So it was a smart move. Did it work? No. But I do think it was smart. I do think this was a very well done match. And I am interested to see how well this little random partnership, as is what it seemed like right now, is going to last between the Fab Four and the Las Bandidos.
It's so funny, like you mentioned, of course, the partnership that we did mention in the season 2 premiere between Lana Star and Sophia Lopez. And while I was watching, I had completely forgot about that. And then when you look at the idea that of how easy it was for Miami Sweet Heat to come in and defend Las Bandidas in that way and jump on the Tonga Twins, who of course they still have beef with because they want their titles back. It's just really insane to think about, how deep this goes. But I can't wait to figure out, how deep it goes. But honestly, I just don't want it to wind up costing the Tonga Twins their titles when they just got them fair and square and had to fight tooth and nail in order to obtain them from Miami Sweet Heat, who was just using all types of dirty tactics to keep their titles. Even on commentary, they were using excuses saying, oh, well, they used chairs and they used all this to beat us. But mind you, Steve and Dickie had to tell them it was a falls count anywhere match. That means you can use anything. So it just feels like they're just still living in Delulu land and not understanding that, these women are the tag team champions. And if you really want to, get buck with them, then get buck with them. But they only have the courage to hit them from behind and not from the front. And that bothers me. But that's just how the Fab Four just works. They love to do underhanded stuff and it just never ends with them. They just have all kinds of puppet strings somehow, but somebody just needs to take some scissors and just cut it. Okay. Like I'm sick of it. But I'm really glad that the mother truckers did, get out of jail and help them, even though I'm more than sure they did not get the help of Sophia Lopez again, because Sophia was the main reason as to why they got locked up again in the first place. So I'm sure they probably got another lawyer to bail them out. But I was still happy to see them because I thought they was going to be in jail for a good little while. Thank God they're not. So the mother truckers are back, and this was just a crazy haphazard way to end WoW, but either way, it was still fun and giving us all the madness that we're used to. So that brings us to the end of our time together. Thank you guys so much for watching and showing us love for Steph and Kat Talk WoW. Like, I see a lot of people watching, sharing love emojis, like emojis, going crazy in the comments. Thank you guys so much for being with us on our premiere of this show, of this iteration of this show. Like, it's been crazy, but we have been trying, to press forward and be our best selves when it comes to this wrestling space. And I just can't think of a better person to do that with than Katrina. So, Katrina, thank you so much for doing this with me and, telling me that this was a good idea. And just tell everybody where they can find and follow you. That is, if you don't have anything more to say to the people.
I do, but I'm gonna say you can follow me on all social media in Cat We Trust, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Easy three. And just kind of piggyback off what Steph said. It was a crazy 2 weeks. And some of you guys might have know what happened, some don't. Point is, we have been watching WoW from the beginning of this iteration, and we were very fortunate to be with them at LA Comic Con. We were very fortunate to be able to interview them. We were very fortunate to be treated like family. And so I thought, well, we both thought the one thing we didn't want to lose with everything that was going on was to have losing access to still support the show that we've been supporting this whole time, or showing the love to the fabulous ladies, the superheroes, the women of WoW. And it was important to make sure we still was able to do that. Just thought it would be easy to keep the time the same, because you already know what time it is, same time. And while this one was a little bit longer because we were covering 2 weeks worth of episodes, I'm just glad that we were able to do this. I'm glad that, because let's try and see how this goes. And I'm so glad that you guys followed along with us. And you guys have been very sweet, and we're just always very supportive, and we thank you. We're hoping to do it just as much justice as we did prior. But we are still going to support WoW regardless, and figure like we both do have our own platforms. And this will force me to be more consistent on my channel, because I be slacking, guys, totally slacking. Life be life in, and I be forgetting. But I feel like this is forcing me to be more on it with my channel and my stuff, as well as focusing more on myself. And I'm also keeping it on the Thursdays with Shay. And so it's still on my channel and her platform as well. And so just keep it the same and still support the things we love about wrestling. So thank you guys. Truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys for hanging in with us and coming along for the ride.
Absolutely. And of course, if you want to find and follow me, you can do that on Instagram and Twitter and Threads at Queen Steph Hardy. You can also follow this show, because this is also like one half of my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast. You can follow The Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. I am so happy to have reached, a new number of followers, over 1,000 on both platforms. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm just navigating change as much as you possibly can, because it's just like I say when it comes to wrestling, like, we do not like change at all. Like, when we get comfortable, and we love things, right? But a part of life is just evolving, and just running with the changes of life. And you can either let it eat you alive and consume you, or you can get up off of your behind and make the best of it. And this is us making the best of it. And I'm just so grateful to not be alone in it, and to have gotten so much love, and support from everyone. And hopefully that can continue as we continue to lift up the name of WoW superheroes on this platform the way that we always have, because we love women's wrestling. We stand women's wrestling. We stand for women's equality in all of wrestling, not even just for the athletes, but also for the people who use their voices as well, like us who are hosts, like us who are ring announcers and commentators and writers and all of the above. We are going to be here to be the good in wrestling for as long as we possibly can. And we just thank you guys so much for supporting us and supporting this show, Steph and Kat Talk Wow on In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And until next time, which will be next week, next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, please watch WoW Superheroes so you can come back and watch our show. And until next time, bye, y'all.